Go ahead. I realized a long time ago that a critical aspect of success in my 45-plus years career has been about telling good stories about my creative work. This presentation is the story of my fascination with lobsters, but it's informed by a career that's had many unexpected turns, twists, and connectivities. So what am I about? Well, what you see is kind of a diagram of my story, or to you, his story. Along the way, I did enough things right to work my way to the top of my field. I also made a lot of mistakes, but paid attention to why. This informs everything I do. For me, the presentation is not just about lobsters, it's about the lifting of veils in the creative process. At the top, I diagrammed the process I use for problem solving. The important part is the ideation. That's where the veils get lifted. The final story is based on the quality of the ideas generated. And I review them against the desirable attributes listed, the most important one of which is be remarkable, being worthy of a remark. Drawing's always been a strong interest and important tool in telling the story of my work, my observations of things around me. Doug's mentioned my cache of sketchbooks. I proceeded from pen and ink, explored watercolor, and have added digital media. I've never been to Maine or had a lobster until I was married. And in my 20s, my wife had been coming to Maine since she was a little girl and introduced me to vacation land. I began by eating lobsters, then taking pictures of lobsters, and then drawing lobsters, and then painting lobsters. At some point, I got enough favorable comments on my work that I began to think about significantly increasing my focus on art and lobsters. That's where the idea of LobstArt Studios began, helping to tell the story of America's favorite crustacean, Humaris americanus, the Maine lobster. Back in 2006, I began preparing lobster art-based calendars to give to friends at Christmas. Initially, I printed them myself, and now they're commercially printed. Friends still get them as a holiday gift, but I also sell them on Etsy and at shops. Each month has a different piece of lobster art, and of course, the names of the months have been translobsterified. After a while, the veil lifting experience has led me to also explore whatever is the opposite of fine art. I began to see lobsters appearing from behind veils in forms that are definitely not traditional. These epiphanies have absolutely delighted me and apparently others, judging by the remarks. The lobsicle is one of my favorites. It was suggested by a friend. That image is based on a real popsicle ad from the 40s, and that fellow is known as Popsicle Pete. Many of the posters try to make a statement, or at least make fun of something. The joy of a concept connecting what were, on the surface, diverse ideas is quite exhilarating. These are times of flow, a term coined by Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. Check it and him out if you don't know who I'm talking about. About 5 or 6 years ago, I began sending out lobster art email cards on holidays. I now do them 8 to 10 times a year. I try to be informative about the reason for having any particular holiday and try to make it something more than just a day off from work. Usually requires some research, and that's typically when some diverse things suddenly connect and the idea for the story is born. The distribution list includes my friends, people who've purchased art from me, and anyone who requests it. It's been a fun way to stay in touch with friends and share the progress of my work with an ever-expanding audience. I'm delighted when, as often happens, I get emails back commenting on the card. To date, at least, the feedback's been positive. The lobstergrams have become a delightful but real challenge. How many different things can you do with lobsters in Memorial Day? Well, if enough veils are lifted, with enough daydreaming, you'd be surprised. Much of my work comes from random thoughts and daydreaming. It's also good to have the challenge added by deadlines. This occurs with the holiday cards, but I also enjoy the regular challenges presented by the Caffeine for the Creative Mind group on LinkedIn. The topic is proposed and participants respond. My personal favorite is the idea for an award for an idea. A regular weekly challenge is offered at the Illustration Friday website. A one-word topic is given, and again, participants respond with their interpretation. As you can see, I can't seem to stop myself from offering a lobster-based response as well as providing alternative interpretations of what the one-word topic actually meant. Much of my lobster work falls into a category that I call improbable lobsters. These are lobsters that are possible, though admittedly unlikely. I try to document these to share with others who, for whatever reason, don't get the same glimpses. The next set of improbable lobsters were inspired by my love of art and children's books. They were created specifically for the recent birthday of Theodore Geisel, Dr. Seuss, and the publishing anniversary of Eric Carle's beautiful book. Sometimes the idea starts with a word combination, sometimes with a mental image, and the challenge is to find the right name, but it's always about the idea. These guys are studies for some improbable lobsters to be. The ideas seem to be coming faster now, and sometimes I can't keep up with them. I've only been pushing my art presence really hard for the last couple of months. As is my way, I'm in with both feet. I now have a web page, an active blog, a Facebook page. I use QR codes and sell through shops in Maine and New Hampshire and have an internet shop, a lot store, if you will. I've joined other arts organizations and have a presence that I really enjoy on Tumblr and Pinterest. But where's this all going? What's next? Well, my wife's getting more and more worried about me. She thinks I may be lobster crazy. What happens if I do run out of lobster ideas? It's unlikely, but just in case, I've registered the domain name www.porkproducts.com.